All right, we are finally live and ready to kick off Season 4. Hello and welcome, everybody. It has been a very long and anxious wait here to kick off the new season, but it is finally time. We have arrived here in Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. It is round 1 of 16 for the Division 2 championship here for the Midwest Formula 1 championship. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. My name is Fallen Monkeys here in the commentator's booth for the season here. Some of you might know me from the Division 3 stream, but I am here. A little bit of a promotion, and it is time to kick off Division 2, and I am very excited to kick things off. As usual, jumping into our short qualifying session, gonna get all this wonderful stuff up here on the screen so we can all get the information. Like I said, 20 drivers on the grid, a full grid here today to kick off our short qualifying. You love to see that here, full attendance for the first season, as we are just awaiting for the first drivers to hit the track. And I already see somebody leaving the pits. Who is it going to be? It is Saffron City here in the wonderful looking Alpine, one of the new liveries, and only fitting here in this brand new installment F1 2021. We get a nice view of one of these new cars. Of course, the Alpine and the Aston Martin, the two new liveries here. Of course, some other teams we all know and love getting some new paint jobs here. I'm sure we'll get to look at all of those, but for now we'll explore the Alpine here of Saffron City as he's heading around on his outlap, getting ready to kick off his first flying lap here. Now, of course, a little bit of new housekeeping here for the new game. Some of you might already be aware. Of course, there's no fuel management here this season. You're stuck on one engine mode, and of course, ERS is essentially brought down to just a push battery, as far as I'm aware. You see that battery in the bottom left here of the telemetry on your screen, which is now in the middle of the screen here now, rather than being on the right-hand side. You love to see that. But of course, drivers are going to have to manage their battery a little bit more than they had to previously. No fuel to compensate, so really going to keep an eye out on that as the race carries on. But here we go. Let's ride on board for our first flying lap of the new season, heading down the start-finish straight, the long start-finish straight, where we're going to see most of the overtaking, I would think, into the sweeping right-hander, into a left of turn 1 and 2, back into a right-hander for turn 3 on the power very quickly here is Saffron City. You can take a bit of a wider line to maximize the exit speed very quickly on the inside. It's a bit of an awkward corner here, turn 4. Once again, you want to go as wide as possible to set yourself up back in for turn 5 down the hill. A very technical section coming up, a lot of speed, but you'll see here turn 8 is definitely going to be as tricky as it's ever been here with the new cars, having to get used to the new handling, and already early on, a little bit of a tank slapper there, trying to get on the exit into the DRS straight, hard on the braking into the hard left-hander at the end of that straight. Purple sector 2 here for Saffron City's first lap in the Alpine. Through into Sector 3 now. Only a few corners to go. Very tricky chicanes here coming up, as they always are. Hopefully they're a little less clunky as they have been. I've heard some good news so far, but we'll see what the drivers will have to say about this as the session goes on. Around the final corner, and here we are. It's a 117.6 for Saffron City to kick off our short qualifying session here, and that is the time to beat. Provisional pole position out of the first time on the board, but we've got a McLaren here who's about to cross the line, as well as a Puff Digital that we can see who's slowing down, allowing, I wouldn't call it sandbagging here, but just maybe letting his time be beat, keeping a little bit in his back pocket, maybe cause a little bit of a surprise here from now in the end of qualifying. But Hightower is currently sitting up in provisional pole right now with a 117.547 about a tenth of a second faster than Saffron City. Now, Hightower, I definitely know him from seasons past. A very fast driver here in the Aston Martin, and not looking like he missed out on any pace here. Really feeling Aston Martin here early on. He is sitting in P1 on those medium tires here, and very crucially, I'm seeing WC96 is out of qualifying, and I think I see that might have been right on the exit at turn 8. I believe we'll see if we can catch it with Nicky here. There it is. There is that Mercedes perpendicular to the track. Not a good place to have crashed out, but it does show the difficulty of that corner as it has been in games past, and it seems like it will continue to be very difficult, especially for drivers here in a league race setting, trying to maximize their speed, trying to maximize their lap times, eke out every tenth of a second, every 100th of a second here, especially in qualifying, where you've only got 2-3 laps to set the best possible time here in short qualifying. Here comes Adaltonian across the line. He goes P3, a 117.6, so drivers sitting around the 117s here so far in this qualifying. Still 12 and a half minutes to go. Let's get a little bit of tire graphs up here. I don't want to keep them up for too long because it is taking up a lot of the screen, but as you can see, Nero Nix on those soft tires. He sets a 116.9. First driver to break into the 116s here. Like I said, he is on those soft tires, but that's still a very good lap for the young driver here in that brand spanking new Williams livery there. And he is now the new time to beat. Now watch out for Nero Nix this season. He's got a lot of pace. From what I've seen here in seasons past. But of course, as it is for a lot of drivers here, just about everybody in this new installment of the game, how is the different handling? How is the different game, the different feel of the car is going to affect the pace of some of these drivers? We will find out here. Spool and Dub setting a 117.4 in the Ferrari, so that's a pretty good time. Up into P2, sitting right around the time set by El Capitano. Adaltonian setting another lap time here, going a little bit faster this time around, his second time around on those soft tires, a 117.3. He goes up into second place. We'll see who has not set a lap yet. We've got the Williams of Dace TG2, who is currently on a flying lap on those medium tires in that new Williams car, like we saw, looking to possibly either out-qualify or match his teammate. He's got his work cut out for him here in this lap, as his teammate is sitting on provisional pole. Still loads of time left in qualifying. You're seeing these yellow flags on the screen. I wouldn't worry too much about it, if I'm being honest. Not here in qualifying at the very least, because it's just drivers letting others through. Here in qualifying, just getting out of the way, letting these flying lap runners head around. But here we go. Here he comes around the line. What's it going to be? A fantastic lap, a 116.2. So smashes the time set by Nero Nix there. So Williams first and second on the timing sheets here, but we've got more drivers out on their lap times. Murph and Selly just starting a flying lap on that in that Williams. Young DJ CJ promoted from Division 3 back in the Red Bull here today, or back in the Red Bull here this season, I should say, on a lap. He was very consistent in qualifying throughout last season. We'll see if he can keep that up. The Monkey Mafia, the one and the only Monkey Mafia, having a big moment there on the exit, and that looks like that is going to be the end of his lap. So right as I switch over to him, having that big moment, but thankfully able to save the car, using that monkey-like agility to swing that car around like he's swinging from the branches and keep that car in one piece. But unfortunately, that is the end of that flying lap and possibly the end of the run on the medium tires. oh my goodness, Season Smith, I guess I'll call him for now, SZ Smith, or I'll just refer to him as Smith 630, had an invalidation in the Haas, so he's going around for his second time around. Murfancelli diving into the pits, so he was abandoning that lap time. Here comes young DJ CJ, not losing too much pace here from the promotion, from the new game. He finds himself up in second place. It's a 116.7 that puts him up, splitting the two Williams drivers, but it's still Dace TG2 who is sitting in provisional pole as he dives into the pits with a very comfortable lead here, about half a second separating P1 and P2 here on the timing tables, and the rest goes down from there. But a lot of drivers seeming to sit right around those 117s, so that seems to be the average time. But of course, you want to be breaking into the 116s here if you want any chance at a possible podium here in qualifying, or seemingly the way this is going, a chance at a top 5. Because I do feel these times are definitely going to start to fall, especially once we start seeing more drivers on the soft tires. And there goes Smith 630, a 117.1. Puts himself up into P4, right ahead of his teammate M. Galloway, who's in the pits with that 117.3. Might be coming out for one more lap. Hightower back out on a lap. Saffron City was on a lap, but it looks to be invalidated, so unfortunately it will not count. Once he does cross the line, we'll have to go again, but with 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go, there's still time on the board to get that lap time set. So we're not necessarily in that scary timing near the end of qualifying, but closer to the end than the beginning here. So if you don't have a time on the board, you might want to start thinking of getting one set and ready, even if it is just a banker lap. Tiger NASCAR crossing the line, and he goes very fast. A first driver, he breaks into the 115s, only just though, but it's a 115.996. So setting provisional pole position, beating out the time set by Dace TG2 a little bit earlier in the session. Tiger NASCAR, who we saw him in the interdimensional race here that we had on the official Midwest Formula One Twitch just 1 week ago. He was absolutely flying around Silverstone, and he's flying around here in Barcelona, setting that provisional pole position. And at least so far, the Red Bulls are looking very strong this season here in Division 2, sitting first and third as qualifying is ticking down. But the question is, how are other drivers going to respond here? Murfancelli looks to be on a lap as we got that wonderful camera angle looking at the wall. Much better now, going purple in the second sector. Monkey Mafia also just starting a lap. Hopefully he gets a little bit more luck here this time around than he did previously in that second sector, but we'll keep an eye out on that. But firstly, we'll stick with Murfancelli to see what the Alpine driver can do as he's coming around the final corner, looking to be a good lap now. Across the line it will be in just a few moments. Show me the time. P5 for Murfancelli, bringing that Alpine Racing up into a top 5 here in qualifying. 5 minutes and 45 seconds to go. A 116.7 is the time for Murfancelli. So just about everybody's got a time so far, except for the driver on your screen doing something very similar he did 1 lap ago, but I think he might just continue with the lap, will be Monkey Mafia, because at this point you do have time to dive into the pits, but you gotta make sure you're gonna be perfect. Not nearly as much of a time loss for Monkey Mafia as it was his previous time around, but we'll see if he is going to continue. Now, I did see that car that was in the wall there, and that looked to be Puff Digital's AlphaTauri that was in the wall out of qualifying. And Monkey Mafia sets a 117.5. Sets him up for P13 here, but of course there is time to be saved at the very least on the exit of turn 9 heading into the second DRS zone, as we saw with that those slight tank slappers there. Now, I don't think I've given too much love to the McLaren drivers here in qualifying. So you know what? Nicky64 is on a lap. So let's see what Nicky can do through into Sector 1, going about 2/10 faster than his previous lap time, but he's going to have to find a little bit more. He's setting himself up to be on pace with his teammate, but of course, if he wants to see any chance of a top 10 showing, a top 5 even, going to have to find a little bit more time in sectors 2 and 3, with qualifying ticking down a little bit over 4 minutes to go in this short qualifying session. The Red Bull of Tiger NASCAR still sitting on provisional pole position after that very fast, ooh no, a big moment for Nicky64, and that is another driver out of qualifying here. Looked to be on a very good lap time there, as I saw a purple second sector form, but unfortunately through this corner right here, just clipping the curb a little bit too much, maybe struggling fighting these new cars that do handle ever so slightly different with the new tire model here in this game than they did in the previous year's counterparts. But that is the end of qualifying for Nicky, and he is going to be starting in P16 at the best. Hightower, he goes much faster, puts himself right behind his teammate. It's a 1:17.116 for Hightower. Gets immediately knocked down to 8th position as Houdini 13-13 in the Ferrari, back in the Ferrari here for another season. Goes 5th fastest with his time on the soft tires. Now, of course, Houdini and Young DJ CJ in Division 3 last season, they were in positions 1 and 2, interchanging those positions through the entirety of the season. And of course, as you're seeing, very close in pace once again here up in Division 2, and honestly have not skipped a beat, very much so in the running, possibly for a good show here in Division 2 this season in P4 and P5 respectively. But of course, with drivers like Tiger NASCAR, ooh, a big moment for Houdini there on his in-lap of all places, having a similar mistake there to what we were seeing Monkey Mafia have, and even WC96 on his lap earlier on in the session. So it's looking, at least initially, like that is going to be a very difficult corner here, especially once we get into the race. But as saying that, El Capitano 2019, a 1:16.3, that puts himself up right ahead of that Young DJ CJ, P4 with that time in the AlphaTauri, putting himself right behind Niru Nix, who looks to be on a flying lap right now, looking to improve. We'll see if the Williams driver can break into the 1:15s, maybe give Tiger NASCAR a run for his money. Of course, his teammate Dasa TG2 is also currently on a lap right now, I believe, looking to charge around the track, but actually looking to be conserving some energy. So maybe running a secondary out lap here, hoping to possibly get one more lap time in before qualifying is done. Really down to the nitty-gritty now, with a little over 1 minute to go in this qualifying session here around Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya here. Back to Niru Nix, though, as he's currently in 3rd. I didn't quite get to see the Sector 2 split to see if he was quicker or slower, but we'll get a better idea once he does cross the line. Coming around the final corner here is Niru Nix, using a lot of battery, opens up DRS, I believe. Across the line he goes, up into 2nd place goes Niru Nix, ahead of his teammate, not quick enough to break into the sub 1:16s. It's a 1:16.175, but good enough as of right now to get that front row of the grid start here for the race, as we are down to the last 30 seconds of qualifying. Saffron City starting his last flying lap on the soft tires. Details is currently in 11th on a flying lap now, it seems, or possibly on an in-lap, as he's actually appearing to be out of fuel, or running out of fuel, so will not be improving here. Who was that who just crossed the line? It's not Season Smith, it might have been Fusale, I believe, as I'm completely forgetting how to pronounce some of these names. He is getting out of the way of the McLaren McLaren, as qualifying has officially come to a close here. Dace will not improve. Nero Nix is looking to be on an in-lap right now, not having enough fuel. Tiger NASCAR a little bit further ahead. He's on a flying lap, looking to solidify that pole position if needs be. But the question is anybody going to be able to compete with Tiger NASCAR for that first pole position of the season here for season 4? Will not be detail, as he retires out of qualifying, will not be improving. Murfancelli in the Alpine appears to be on a flying lap right now, so we'll see as he's coming around the final few corners what the time is going to be. Around the final corner now he goes. Tiger NASCAR and Nero Nix both diving into the pits. Murfancelli up into P4 with his final lap time of 1:16.2, so good enough to just eke out the time of El Capitano, but just missing out on that top 3, currently still occupied by Dace TG. But finally now across the line goes Enrique BC. My goodness, apologies for that. He goes up into P8, and that is going to do it here for qualifying. So it will be a Red Bull on pole position. It's Tiger NASCAR 1 with that 1:15.996, the only driver to break into the sub 1:16s, and that seems to be what was needed here to get that pole position. So Tiger NASCAR takes the first pole position here for Division 2 in the Division 2 Championship here for Season 4. And after that qualifying session, I'm really excited to get on with the race to see how everybody is going to fare in more of a race-paced setting. But there we have it, as we're watching the McLaren going around the track, heading back to the pits. You can see him right now, Tiger NASCAR in that Red Bull, rocking that, looking a little bit like a young Sebastian Vettel there, if I'm being honest. He is starting from pole. Nero Nix in the Williams on the softs in second on the front row of the grid. His teammate right behind in third. Murfancelli in the Alpine in fourth. El Capitano rounding out the top 5. Fuzel, Young DJ CJ, Enrique BC, M Galloway, and Houdini rounding out the top 10. Only 3 of the 10 drivers setting times on the mediums, everybody else on the softs. Saffron City, Adaltonian, Hightower, Detail, Season Smith, Spool and Dub, Monkey Mafia, Nikki 64, Puff Digital, WC 96, the rest of the order heading down the grid. But that will do it here for short qualifying. Now we are jumping into the race. It's looking to be sunny skies here for the first race, so the gods of weather are hearing that it is going to be the start race, and of course not putting too much pressure on the drivers. That would have been the last thing I'm sure the drivers would have wanted to see here, having a full wet race to kick off the season, which of course isn't not a possibility here in Spain, but it does not appear at first glance like that is going to be the case. Now we're taking a little bit of a moment here between qualifying and the race. Let the drivers plan out their strategies. Let the drivers figure out what they want to do for fuel, for pit stops, all that wonderful stuff. Maybe run to the washroom, get that mindset in race mode here. Final few adjustments before we kick off the formation lap and the 33 laps here around this circuit. I'm excited to get things going, and I hope everybody is too. If you're just joining in, thank you so much for watching. My name is Fallen Monkeys. I'm your host here for the evening, for this Division 2 Championship, this inaugural race, this first race of the season for Season 4 here in Division 2, just between qualifying and the race. It is a Red Bull of Tiger NASCAR, who will be starting from pole position once we do kick off the race here today. And of course, I'm gonna take a quick moment here. Apologies for this. I'm just gonna take a quick sip of water, just get myself hydrated, ready to go here to kick off the formation lap and the start of the race in just a few moments now. Alrighty, I am back just in time here as Tiger NASCAR kicking things off here for our formation lap, heading around the track, warming up the tires. Let's quickly pull up the tire choice here and run through the grid order one last time. Tiger NASCAR on pole position, Nero Nix in second with Dace TG2 in third. In third, rounding out the top three, but watch out for Dace in that Williams. He is on the medium tires and looking to have a lot of pace here for this first race of the season. Murfancelli in fourth here in the Alpine. El Capitano in the AlphaTauri, rounding out the top five. Then you've got the likes of Fusail M1 and Young DJ CJ. They are both on the medium tires here, positions 6 and 7 to start the race. And Enrique BC in 8th on the softs, M Galloway in 9th, and Houdini rounding out the top 10 on the soft tires. From 11th down, everybody opting for a slightly harder tire choice. Saffron City in 11th, Adaltonian in 12th, Hightower in 13th, right behind his teammate of Adaltonian. Detail in 14th, SZ Smith 630 in 15th, rounding out the top 15. Spool and Dub in 16th. The Monkey Mafia in 17th. Nikki 64 in 18th. All on the soft tires. Puff Digital all the way down in 19th after that crash in qualifying. He is going to be going very long, starting on those hard tires with WC 96, who is starting from the back of the grid after having a moment crashing out in qualifying on his first lap, unable to get a time on the board. He is starting from the back of the grid in that very quick Mercedes on the medium tires. So expect a jump from the Mercedes driver here. I would think maybe gaining a few positions as the drivers are going to line up and they're going to barrel down towards turn 1. So you've got the lead drivers taking their positions on the grid. Let's get this stuff out of the way. Let's just leave the stops for now. It gives us something at the very least here before we get everything kicked off. And it looks like the Monkey Mafia is getting hail at his house right now, so it's gotta be distracting here, especially for the start of the race. I wish you luck, Monkey Mafia, here with all of that. But the 5 red lights here, up to 5 red lights, and they are off, and we are racing here to start the season as the driver's heading down towards turn 1. It looks to be a very good start from Nero Nix as he's leading the charge here as they head towards turn 1. 3 wide into turn 1 here as Tiger NASCAR, Murfancelli, and Daze TG heading around into turn 2, turn 3. A big battle for positioning here early on as they're going side by side, Tiger NASCAR and Murfancelli. Who is going to come out ahead as they head towards the sweeping right-hander of turn 4, and they're still side by side here, and you've got the Enrique and El Capitano going side by side a little bit further behind, but these drivers for P2, P3, they're still running side by side. You can't keep them apart. Finally, it's Murfancelli who gets the advantage, gets the edge, as we set towards single file here, heading towards the very dangerous corner here. You don't want to have drivers losing it very early on here. Not a good way, but it looks like everybody making it through relatively cleanly as they're jostling for positions. Adaltonian, though, taking a little bit of end plate damage, maybe missing a braking point, possibly clipping into the back of M. Galloway and taking some slight little bit of damage, which is allowing Saffron City to go down the inside, and it looks like as though Fusail might try his luck as well. Thankfully, though, Adaltonian is able to defend. Not much of an overtaking zone here through the first corner. Diving into the pits here is Fusail, and yeah, Fusail is actually out of this race, it appears. Oh no, and we've got a virtual safety car. What happened to Fusail, as I don't think he retired into the pits. It looks like he actually crashed out coming around the final corner, losing that car, and he is going to be the first DNF of the season here officially, bringing out the virtual safety car here on lap 2. Spool and Dub taking a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. That is not what you like like to see here today. And of course, as I love to see that wonderful spectator glitch through the first lap, heading towards the first sector. Glad to see that is still here in this game as well. Hopefully that ends up getting resolved, so I don't get played by the game every single race like what happened so many times in the previous season. But under virtual safety car, I gotta give a lot of credit to Nero Nix, just absolutely timing that start fantastically, getting a perfect jump and getting ahead of Tiger NASCAR and taking the lead of the race very early on, and honestly hasn't looked back. Did get a little bit of help from the likes of Murph and Selly, who had a very nice battle for at least half the track with Tiger NASCAR, but it seems like Murph and Selly got the better of Tiger NASCAR, but as we saw in qualifying, he can definitely put on the jets, can Tiger NASCAR, when he wants to. But look at Dace TG2 that was trying to make a move heading down into turn 1 as we got back to green flag racing. Oh no! And right as I say that is the end of the race for Dace. We saw that on stream there, losing the back end coming through turn 2. It's gonna bring out a yellow flag, but the question is, will it be bringing out a safety car here? I know safety cars are a little bit on reduce, and I think that is not going to bring out a safety car. They're going to be able to clear up the car just in time. That is what you like to see. So only yellow flags. Yes, that car is gone. But just like that, 3 laps in, we are down to 18 runners in this Grand Prix, with Dace TG just losing the handle of the car. A little bit of growing pains, I think, here for some of these drivers in this new game, handling the new cars, maybe in a different constructor, switching teams here, and just having to get used to it, as well as the new regulations here. The cars are similar, but not quite the same, and we are seeing that first and foremost here. But back to the racing action. We've got a fantastic battle here in the midfield from essentially a Enrique, Young DJ, CJ, the two drivers chasing one another. Young DJ has DRS going towards the left side of the track, gets the move done well towards turn 1, or well before turn 1, I should say, and that is Young DJ CJ up into P5. Enrique falling down to 6, a little bit further behind WC96. Remember, he was at the back of the grid. He is all the way up into P10 now all of a sudden, doing a fantastic race here in these early stages, showing that it doesn't matter where you start as long as you can capitalize on the opportunities given to you. And already up 10 positions is WC96, and is now the lead Mercedes driver here early on in this race, and chasing down Hightower, but he's got the Ferrari of Houdini chasing him down as well, trying to get an overtake done, trying to keep up with the Mercedes driver here, but we'll see how that is going to play out as this race continues onwards. But I am seeing Tiger NASCAR putting a lot of pressure, starting to put a bit more pressure on Murph and Selly. He's got a lot of battery in that tank to use, a little bit more than Murph and Selly does. I'm seeing Gio, that dude wants the tires, so let's put them up here. You've got there are the tire information for those watching at home, as Tiger NASCAR gets thought about getting an overtake done. They're going side by side, but Murph and Selly is able to just hang on to that P2 for at least one more lap. Tiger NASCAR doing all he can, but unfortunately unable to get the overtake done here on lap 5. Is going to have to try again here in just a little bit. Enrique is putting a lot of pressure here on M. Galloway, a little bit further behind, trying to go up into P6 here. Now, in these early stages of the race, you can see drivers now getting a little bit more, they're acting patient, and this is what you love to see. You don't want to be pushing for an overtake. You've got a lot of race to go. You've got pit stops to do. no point in forcing a move now like it's 3 laps to go till the end of the race. You can save that for when there is 3 laps to go for the end of the race. But you're still seeing a lot of aggressive driving, lots of very clean, respectful driving from the drivers, and that is exactly what you want to be seeing here. Saffron City chasing down Enrique, and this all seems to be continuation of that midfield battle that we were watching previously. But now young DJ CJ, as he got past him, Galloway, he's been released ever so slightly now, I should say, to chase down El Capitano, having to close up a 1.2 second gap here though before he can get the overtake. Here comes Saffron City though, making an overtake now with the help of DRS on Enrique. Enrique seems to be falling down the order just a little bit. WC96 now getting ahead of Hightower to move up into P9. So the charge up the field continues for the Mercedes driver of WC as he gains another position and now chasing down Enrique, who, as mentioned, seems to be losing a little bit of pace here in this secondary phase of the opening laps. Maybe his soft tires are starting to lose out on a little bit of grip compared to the medium tire runners that he's been around, and could be losing out on a little bit of pace because of that. Because you're seeing WC96 starting to catch up here quicker and quicker. That gap is really starting to close, and it's only been half a lap since WC got into P9. So I think Enrique might want to consider taking a pit stop relatively soon, but of course you don't want to dive in too early either. But speaking of pit stops, you've got Murph and Selly, El Capitano. They're coming in to take their first pit stops. What tires are they going to put on now? Do you think they go for the hards or do they go for the mediums? It appears as though Murph and Selly is putting on a set of medium tires. As WC chasing down Enrique got close, but not close enough. And El Capitano also putting on a set of medium tires. So it looks like drivers might be committing to the 2-stop here for the most part, trying to go soft mediums here as the optimal strategy, because I really don't think you can push those medium tires to the end of the race pitting this early on. I do think you will need to take a second pit stop, put on either another set of mediums or possibly a set of hards if you can extend those mediums a little bit longer here during this stint. But of course, if you want to extend the mediums, you're going to end up losing out on a little bit of initial pace. So there is that to take into account as well here. But still, early stages, we'll have to see how it all plays out. But of course, all the while, Niru Nix is still leading the race as he's coming in for his initial pit stop. Tiger NASCAR, though, he is choosing to stay out. He's feeling comfortable on those soft tires, so he's going to continue on for at least one more lap. He will take the lead of this race, and we'll see if the overcut strategy is going to work for the Red Bull driver. He's got his teammate behind him, 5.5 seconds behind, who goes up into P2 now on the mediums, so he can be a little bit of a buffer here for the rest of the grid. Maybe play a little bit of team game here, especially with Niru Nix coming out of the pits now. He's looking to be right in the middle of traffic. No, he actually got out right just ahead of the likes of Spool and Dub and Murph and Selly and Puff Digital, who are so close. 3 drivers right up ahead one another. So that was crucial for Niru Nix with that first pit stop to get ahead of this group of cars, so we can actually get a little bit of clean air to chase down the likes of Monkey Mafia, maybe get that overtake done with the help of DRS. But you're seeing a little bit further ahead now. Tiger NASCAR is already into Sector 3, so he's been showing a lot of pace here with this extra lap on the softs. But he is going to lose out on some time when he does take the pit stop, which I have to think is going to be at the end of this lap, because he's the last remaining driver on the soft tires. So let's see, going around in the final corner now, and no, he is going to stay out for one more lap now on those soft tires. So he's feeling comfortable. He wants to continue on those softs. He's having a great time. That might have actually been part of Tiger NASCAR's strategy. Give Niru Nix that initial lead, conserve those tires that he was running with that extra lap in qualifying, as Nero Nix getting a nice overtake on the Monkey Mafia with the help of DRS into turn 1. And what's going on with Puff Digital? Is he lost out on 2 positions, going so slowly here? My goodness, what is going on here with Puff Digital? He seems to possibly be having engine issues here with that AlphaTauri. That is not what you want to be seeing. And oh no, that's some wing damage, and heavy wing damage at that. He's got absolutely no front wing on that AlphaTauri, so that is going to be a very tough, long way around the circuit. And it almost looked as though he might have had a moment at the similar place that we saw Fuzel on lap 1 have that big crash. Thankfully, it worked out a little bit better for the AlphaTauri of Puff Digital, but unfortunately, it's a long way around the circuit with no front wing, especially here around this circuit in Barcelona. All the while, Murph and Selly overtaking the Monkey Mafia to go up into 8th position. So the Monkey Mafia losing out on 2 positions on those slightly more worn 8-lap-old medium tires. Tiger NASCAR does take his pit stop, but the question is, where is Nero Nix? Nero Nix is crossing the line. Where is Tiger NASCAR going to come out? He's going to end up behind Nero Nix, and crucially for Tiger NASCAR, he's going to end up behind this group of cars, and is going to end up coming out of the pits right ahead of Spool and Dub, just behind the Monkey Mafia. So not losing out on too much pace, but he's going to have to do a little bit more overtaking here to get right back to the back of Nero Nix. But crucially, though, for Tiger NASCAR in this battle for the net lead of the race, he did opt to put on the hard tires rather than put on a set of medium tires, like we saw Nero Nix and the rest of these initial pit stops drivers do in their pit stops, I should say. So possibly a one-stop here for Tiger NASCAR, as he might look to go long with those hard tires, which could explain why he decided to extend that soft tire stint a lot longer than everybody else. The question now becomes: is that the right strategy here? Is keeping track position on this track where we've already seen so many overtakes? We've already seen how powerful DRS is down this start-finish straight, especially here in this game, in this race. The question is, will track position be enough for a Tiger NASCAR to fend off Nero Nix when he inevitably does take that second pit stop and put on that fresh set of tires to charge up the field? We will find out here as the laps tick on, but it's only lap 11 out of 33. Still many laps to go here in this Grand Prix. 22 to go, not even halfway in this Grand Prix. And Tiger NASCAR, he's going to have to get ahead of the Monkey Mafia here to have any possibility of gaining some time. But the Monkey Mafia seems to have found a little bit more pace now. Those medium tires might be finally starting to break in just ever so slightly here. Either that or Tiger NASCAR is having a little bit of trouble with those hard tires, one or the other here. But we haven't seen that jump here like we saw when Nero Nix came out on those medium tires. So we'll have to see how this is all going to play out. Could be possibly some tire management involved with Tiger NASCAR as well in this stage of the race. But for now, it is young DJ CJ, the other Red Bull, who is leading the way here. 3.3 seconds ahead of Saffron City, who is in second, just ahead of the Mercedes driver of WC96, who finds himself, look at that, in a podium position up into P3. And remember, like I was saying, WC96 started from the back of the grid and finds himself now in a podium position, and not just through the likes of pit stop. He had to make a couple overtakes, got a little bit lucky here, but showing showing that, like I said before, it doesn't matter where you start. You make the best of your starting position, make the most of your opportunities, and good things will happen. Like we're seeing here, WC having a fantastic race as we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. What is going on? That's Enrique, it looks like, as he had a moment coming through Turn 3, it appeared, getting overtaken by his teammate Nicky, as the two McLaren drivers not having the ideal race for themselves here, but thankfully for Enrique, there's no wing damage. It looks to be maybe just a little bit of heated tires, but that's a small price to pay, and could have been much worse there after losing the car through that turn, possibly on the curbs. Nero Nix now making an overtake for that podium position. WC starting to losing out on one position. I wouldn't say losing pace like I was about to. I think it's just Nero Nix. Oh no! And right as I say that, WC was having a fantastic race, but through into turn 2, crashes out right where we saw Dace TG2 crash out. Another one out, another one bites the dust here, and that is going to bring out a virtual safety car, essentially effectively neutralizing the race here today, neutralizing the race for the moment until they can get that car cleaned up. It's not going to bring out the full safety car here, so we will not be regrouping, but drivers will essentially be forced to follow a delta, which is essentially neutralizing the race here, the way it is, in theory, allowing drivers to to keep that gap the way they are. Saffron City, though, not getting that restart he wanted to, maybe trying to time it a little bit too well, going a little bit too fast, and taking a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. Must not be happy about that, but unfortunately will be forced to serve it. Young DJ CJ diving into the pits, and that is going to promote Nero Nix back into the lead of this race. And you're seeing here that is going to be Hightower now in second, getting overtaken now by Murph and Selly with the help of DRS, as the Alpine driver going back up into second here, and Tiger NASCAR is now finding himself in P5. The two drivers ahead, Hightower and Detail, will still need to take a pit stop, but for Tiger NASCAR, that overcut didn't quite work initially, as he's lost out on a position. Murph and Selly now is ahead, but of course Tiger NASCAR will be, as mentioned, he will be able to, oh my goodness, words are being very difficult here. He will be able to possibly go for a one-stop, but I do have to say that is Puff Digital, who is out of the race here through that very sketchy corner here, turn 9 into the DRS zone, riding the curb, losing the car. We are down to 16 runners, and that is not going to bring out a virtual safety car. That is not going to bring out a full safety car. That is just going to involve a cleaning of the car. Oh no, young DJ CJ having a moment. It's all going off here as young DJ CJ falling down the order gets overtaken by Houdini, and I'm sure given the rivalry from Division 3, that one probably hurts a little bit more here, even in this first race for young DJ CJ than some other ones would. Watching what could be his main rival here this season once again overtake him on track as he's trying to get back on track. So two drivers going for a little bit of a spin here in this stage could be showing the difficulty that these new cars are having on the drivers. We did have a little bit of time since this new installment of the F1 2020 or the F1 game came out here in F1 2021. But of course, it does take a little bit of time to get used to these cars. And it seems like for some of the drivers, that learning curve is a little bit higher than others, and we're seeing that here, especially in a pure race setting where drivers are pushing, keeping in mind the strategy, keeping in mind other cars on circuits, keeping in mind the pace that they ideally want to have, and everything else involved with racing here in the Grand Prix. But down to 16 drivers nonetheless. and this race is all but kicking off here as Nero Nix is about ready to start lap 16. A couple time penalties starting to fall here as we're starting to see some corner cutting penalties exceeding track limits for some of the drivers here, as those are definitely going to bite you in the butt if you're not careful. You gotta keep it clean. You gotta stay within the track limits, especially in this game where until you get to learn which curbs you can and can't ride, it is going to be treacherous here. And I do believe, that said, speaking of the curbs, I didn't bring them up all that much. Oh no! And that is Nikki out of this race, and that is going to bring out a full caution safety car, and that is definitely understandable because that, as you saw, that McLaren is parked in a horrible spot right in front of the pit lane entrance. Thankfully, Season Smith was able to very cautiously take that pit stop to get off of the hard tires. But another driver here falling victim. We are down to 15 runners, and now under the full caution safety car, full course safety car. Now you gotta wonder, are we going to see anybody else take a pit stop here under safety car, essentially getting that free stop, or are drivers going to be essentially continuing on the way they normally would? I would not be surprised to see the likes of Hightower and Detail take pit stops, which they are doing right here, right now. Murph and Selly also taking a pit stop. Monkey Mafia, I think, is going to dive into the pits too. Yep, right as I say that, we're seeing that pit stop being taken. Sefron probably going to be diving. All these drivers who are on 13 to 15 lap old medium tires, they're essentially getting a free pit stop. And very crucially, some of these other drivers are equally doing something similar. Nero Nix, though, he opted to stay out on those 8-lap-old mediums, deciding not to give up track position. Tiger NASCAR, he's sticking to his strategy, which I'm not surprised, given that he did decide to pit for the hard tires rather than the mediums like the rest of the field did. But for Nero Nix, this is it's going to be definitely a questionable strategy call to stay out, especially looking in hindsight now with everybody else having taken a pit stop. Probably wouldn't have lost out on nearly as much as he might have initially thought. He possibly was thinking that most of the drivers were going to stay out, and only those who had yet to take their pit stops are going to pit. But that was not the case, unfortunately, which does leave Nero Nix on a little bit of a back foot compared to everybody else. Now, of course, another thing I'm noticing here is the Monkey Mafia, who rather than putting on a set of mediums or a set of hard tires, he decided he's going to pit for soft tires. So I don't think those soft tires are going to go to the end. I do believe he will need to take another pit stop here, but it does open up for essentially this free pit stop. Be on the quicker tire. Try to get some overtakes done here off the safety car restart when the grid is going to be bunched up, and build a gap to then possibly pit for a second set of soft tires. Do it all again and be on that much quicker tire compared to everybody else who is going to be running on similar laps here as of right now, but it's going to be much more worn tires once the Monkey Mafia's second pit stop is done. But I will take a quick moment here as we are under safety car. Nero Nix leading the charge here under the safety car. I'll be back. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. I do hope you're enjoying the stream thus far here as, like I said, under safety car, lap 18 here for the first race of the Division 2 Championship of Midwest Formula One's Division 2 Championship. Alrighty, I am back, ladies and gentlemen, and just in time as the safety car has turned off its lights and we can go back to green flag racing to start lap 19 of the Grand Prix. Niru Nix will essentially become the de facto safety car as he is going to be leading the charge and will be trying to fend off the Red Bull of Tiger NASCAR, who is on the slightly newer but harder tire compound than Niru Nix. And of course behind them you've got essentially everybody on these fresh set of tires. So Niru Nix very slowly heading around the final corner. You cannot overtake until you cross the line. Now getting on the acceleration here. But of course you're seeing, oh no, and that's Enrique BC that is out of this race. What happened there? Might have been involved in a possible collision. Either that or losing the back end, but under the safety car restart, we're seeing another driver out of this race. A bit of a three-wide battle here, and that is Houdini with no front wing here on the safety car restart, and getting caught up in the worst possible position, going wide, but essentially caught up in this 2-3 car battle involving Saffron City, Season Smith, M. Galloway. What's going on with Saffron City as he's going wide? He's got no front wing. He's turning around, facing the wrong way, thankfully not getting involved with some other cars. But it's all calamity, it's all chaos here on the safety car restart as you're seeing Niru Nix going for a spin here as that's all happening. He brought out a yellow flag. He's fallen all the way down to 10th position. A gift for the likes of Tiger NASCAR, but right as that happened, Murph and Selly got ahead of Tiger NASCAR on those fresher set of tires. It's all gone off. It's all been crazy here on the safety car restart. My goodness, I gotta catch my breath here a little bit just to take in what happened here. So we had Enrique BC who crashed out here right on the safety car restart, and I gotta feel that M. Galloway, he is out of this race. What happened to M. Galloway now? As I'm gonna try to see with the onboard. There he is, right over there in the far end. I'm not too sure how you end up there unless you've got a giant brake failure. But it seems like it all started here. Oh no, as Season Smith missed the pit lane. He's got to go into the pits now, backing up. He's getting into the pits, thankfully. But it's all calamity here for the first race of the season, especially near the back of the field. But I'll be honest here, I got to think possibly there might have been some funky business with that safety car restart. Because, of course, if you've got a driver in the midfield who thinks that the restart is happening and it isn't, they're going to gun it. They're going to hit the brakes, but of course you don't have brake lights. You just got to react in a split-second decision. You hit the brakes, driver behind you hits the brakes, but at that point, once you get the 3-4 cars behind, as we've got Detail and Hightower going side by side here, I'm going to cut myself off here for the battle. Detail getting up into a podium position, overtaking Hightower down into 4th now, but Hightower on the harder compound tire looking to go to the end of the race. DRS is now enabled, so we'll see if Hightower actually gets DRS here down the straight. It does not appear to be the case here as the Monkey Mafia now chasing down, looking to use some of that battery. Spillin' Dub, though, he is out of this race, and that is going to bring out a virtual safety car. So, I mean, on one end, it's unfortunate there for Spillin' Dub going through turn 8, which has been an issue year after year for some drivers. But, of course, for myself, it's going to give me time to catch my breath and try to give a little bit of a summary once again of what happened. So we saw Enrique BC out of qualifying, which I feel might have to do with the domino effect or losing it on the exit of the final corner. Then we saw the likes of Houdini and Saffron, I believe it was, lose a front wing, and you gotta feel like they either collided with each other or got involved with Enrique, possibly involved in some domino effect with the safety car restarts that the stewards are most definitely, I feel, going to look into. I mean, I would not be surprised if the stewards look into that here with that with all that wing damage here, causing a lot of drivers to dive into the pits as we're back to green flag racing. But seemingly in a separate incident, Nero Nix, who was leading off of the safety car restart, at that same corner we saw Spool and Dub have a moment. Thankfully didn't crash out, but went for a spin and lost out on a lot of positions and had a bit of a costly mistake here. But now back to green flag racing, the Monkey Mafia going up into P4, overtaking Hightower here on lap 22 out of 33, up into just outside of the podium position. He's on those soft tires, on a charge now, and he's trying to chase down Detail for that final podium here. But that was definitely a hectic part of the race there. So much happened, but we did get through it. And after all of that, we've got 12 runners, and it is Murphin Selly who is leading the Grand Prix now. Tiger NASCAR is in second. Murphin Selly has built a little bit of a gap here now between himself and Tiger NASCAR. But Tiger NASCAR, like I said, might be conserving tires, looking to go to the end of the race. But Murphin Selly should definitely be able to make it 11 more laps here, especially given we saw those medium tires go 15 laps for a lot of drivers here at the start of this Grand Prix. So Murphin Selly looking to be in a fantastic position here. The question is more, how is Tiger NASCAR going to respond on those harder and much more worn tires? Especially with Detail in that Mercedes chasing him down, trying to close up on that gap. But for Detail, you want to focus on the driver ahead, but you do need to pay attention to the driver behind as well, because if you don't, you'll have the Monkey Mafia on those soft tires charge at you and possibly snag that position in front of your very eyes if you're not careful. But we'll see how that's all playing. We'll see how it all plays out, because the Monkey Mafia will need to close up at least a second and a half before possibly getting an overtake done. Meanwhile, though, on a fresh set of soft tires, you've got young DJ CJ, who set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's got some clean air to work with here after that spin earlier, as he's trying to close down on El Capitano, but 22 and a half seconds to close up there. I think for young DJ CJ, he might end up he might be racing with himself here for a good part of this race. Now, yellow flags in Sector 3s, I think that was just blue flags, some drivers letting others through, as it looks as though that could have been El Capitano getting ahead of Houdini, who he himself, who got caught up in that incident after the safety car restart, had to pit for a new front wing. And similar to young DJ CJ, I think he's essentially going to be racing with himself here from now up until the end of the race. But of course, for drivers who are still in the lobby, points are still on the board. Now, of course, points are always important, but if you can snag a lot of points here in the early stage of the season, it does make things much better for you, especially heading down to the nitty-gritty, knowing you've got some points in the bank already. Of course, points at the beginning of the season are worth the same as points at the end of the season. Points are points, but if you can get them early, take advantage of the rust some of these drivers might have. Like I said, you're going to be in a much better position compared to if you're going to be playing catch-up near the end of the season here. It is a long season, 16 races here for Season 4, but of course you want to lock up on those points as early as possible. Let other drivers catch up to you rather than have to catch up to them. Put the pressure on them. Don't let the pressure be put on you, is the way I see it. But on your screen right now, transitioning back over to the racing action, Niru Nix chasing down and overtaking Adaltonian as he is continuing his charge back up the field on those 16-lap-old medium tires. Now, I'll be surprised if Niru Nix is going to take those tires to the end of the race. He might need to take one last pit stop, might be waiting a little bit more, possibly at the end of this lap here, so that he can put on a set of soft tires, but doesn't look to be phasing him too much, as he actually sets a purple first sector here. I'm sure that that DRS did help, as he was leading for a good portion of the race. Didn't quite get much DRS, this race, but we'll see if he can keep up that pace here. Maybe those medium tires have found a second wind and can go a little bit longer than the rest. But the question is, when will they fall off? And how hard will they fall off? Because this is it's uncharted territory for these medium tires, given that everybody else pit under the safety car after having taken the medium tires only 15 laps. Now, of course, the pace was still there, but the question does remain, would they have been able to go much longer, or did that safety car come out at the perfect time for them? Neuronix feels like they can go at least 2 laps longer as he's going to continue onwards. You can see gaining a lot of time here on Hightower. Already closed that gap up to under a second is the Alpine driver of Neuronix, the young driver of Neuronix too, has a lot of skill, a lot of pace here. Of course, mistakes are the bane of anybody's existence, especially here in racing, and Neuronix is no exception to that rule, as we've seen. But what he's also showing off is that hey, I made a mistake. It happened. It's cool. Just let me, I'm going to get right back at it. I'm going to just pump out a couple quick laps and try to catch right back up. And look at that. He's already half a second behind Hightower on those 17-lap-old medium tires, and putting himself in a great position to possibly still snag a top 5. So I do have to give credit where credit is due on the drive Neuronix is having thus far here today, as we are on lap 26 out of 33, now getting close to the end of the Grand Prix. We are well past the midway point, as this Grand Prix has absolutely flown by here so far. Just starting lap 27 is the leader of the race, Murphin Selly, who all he has to do now is keep doing what he's doing. It's been working for him so far, and right now he's looking very much poised to have a great run here, a great start of the season here, snagging the maximum amount of points. But not if Tiger NASCAR has anything to say about it. But on the harder and more worn tires is Tiger NASCAR. He might need to focus a little bit more on the driver behind than the driver ahead, as detail that gap has remained consistently around 2 seconds. But the question is going to be, when will detail slap on those afterburners, maybe make a little bit of an extra push to try to close up, snag that P2 from Tiger NASCAR, and get that extra step of the podium. Of course, I'm seeing Tiger NASCAR does have a penalty here as well. And speaking of, let's take a look at the penalties here. So he's got 3 seconds of time penalty. So as it stands right now, Detail would have that P2 on paper, and I'm sure Detail is aware. But crucially, that's a pit stop here for the Mercedes driver, as he is not happy with the way those tires are working for him. Taking a pit stop, and what is he going to be putting on? That is the question that is on my mind. Let's take a look here. As leaving the pit lane, it looks to be a set of soft tires for the Mercedes driver, so he's giving up track position, but he's going to be looking to gain it right back. But of course, lap 28 out of 33, is he going to have enough time to truly gain back those positions that he had there, and try to get back into P3 and close that gap? That is the question here. Initially, I think not. But Detail, I please invite you to prove me wrong here in the commentator's booth, because that would be a drive and a half. I would love to see that. But I'll be honest, a driver who probably wishes that it wouldn't be the case is the Monkey Mafia, who now finds himself on a podium position now in P3. But he might need to take a pit stop here to get off these soft tires to put on a fresh set of boots here, possibly at the end of this lap if he so chooses. But he might also just try to continue onwards, maybe bring those soft tires to the end of the race, just try to make them last out 4 more laps. We'll have to see. He's gonna have to bring out a lot of skill, show a lot of tire management. But of course, if anybody can do it, it's the Monkey Mafia. I mean, seriously, This guy races. This guy races probably more than anybody I know. If I'm being honest, he's unless he's calmed down a little bit, he's in a whole bunch of leagues here, getting a bunch of practice. So he has come and ready to race. And as you can see here, this is the case. The question is, can he keep this up for 4 more laps and possibly hang on to that final podium position, especially with Nero Nix, who is on the charge up into P4 and closing that gap. It's at 2.5 seconds now, and we'll tune in a few laps time, possibly when Nero Nix closes that gap up to around a second, or possibly even less than a second, depending on how this all plays out. But crucially, though, Murphy is still leading the race. As mentioned, that hasn't changed. The gap to Tiger NASCAR is continuing to grow. So Tiger NASCAR essentially is running the race of his own. So is Murphy, hoping for the best here. He was happy that Detail took that pit stop, because he did not have to worry about that gap. That 3-second time penalty is not nearly as important now, but of course there's still 3 laps to go. Anything can happen here. Monkey Mafia, as mentioned, rounding out the podium. Nero Nix, though, closing that gap down to 1.8 seconds. Hightower also keeping up. He's got that gap at 1.7 seconds between himself and Nero Nix. Adaltonian in P6. He's got a 3-second time penalty, though, so he could see himself lose out on a position or 2 if he's not careful, if he can't build that gap, especially with El Capitano less than 3 seconds behind, less than 2 seconds behind, I should say, is the AlphaTauri driver. Then we've got Detail, who is running in 3rd, down in 8th now, but had set a fastest lap of the Grand Prix on his last lap, so he is starting to fly here around this track. But I think now it's just damage control. Try to possibly close that gap, maybe gain a position or 2 in the process. But I don't think he's going to end up back up to where he was previously, which does beg to question that late pit stop that he took here a few laps ago here in this race. Then you've got, of course, the drivers who were unfortunately caught up in that safety car restart incident. Ooh, young DJ CJ having a little bit of a tank slapper there for good measure, right as I switch over to him. So he is not having the debut race here in Division 2 that he was hoping for, unfortunately. But there will be opportunity to reassess, regroup, and get right back at it here. And of course, if he finishes the race, that's still points. Points are important no matter how you get them. Points are points, like I was saying previously, but here with 2 laps to go, I'm sure he's very much so looking forward to seeing that checkered flag here, to end his possible misery here down in 9th. As much as you could say it's misery down in 9th, but that race with himself. Similarly is Saffron City, Smith 630, and Houdini, who is definitely out in no man's land, probably really looking forward for that checkered flag to fall and start off that next week's preparation. But here we are. Let's keep Nero Nix here on the screen, as when we see on the onboard, you can see the Alfa Romeo, I should say, of the Monkey Mafia. Nero Nix can see him too, and that must be exactly what Nero Nix wanted, to be able to see that car in the distance. And I'm sure that is going to give a confidence boost. That is going to give that extra drive here for Nero Nix, as he's continuing this penultimate lap here, starting that penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. But hang on a minute, as El Capitano, I think, was just overtaken by Detail with the help of DRS, as Detail now gaining 1 position here, chasing down Adaltonian. He's got a purple first sector as Detail, but Adaltonian does have that 3-second time penalty as well that is going to be added on to his time. But of course, I'm sure Detail will want to get the overtake done on track rather than rely on it with penalties. Just to be able to say he got the overtake done on track, get those bragging rights there after the first race. But you can see now that gap between Nero Nix and the Monkey Mafia has been brought down to right around a second, flirting right around a second, but now it's actually been brought down to under a second, and Nero Nix looks to be gaining a lot of time in the corners. He should have DRS now heading around the final corner here to start the final lap of the Grand Prix. Will the overtake be done here? The Monkey Mafia defending to the outside, looking to get the line. They're going to have to go side by side through turn 1, but it looks as though Nero Nix, at least initially, will get the overtake done, and he does get the overtake to stick here as Saffron City DNFs. He retires out of this race. A similar position we saw so many drivers do previously with the exit of turn 9 into that DRS zone in the back of the circuit. But that is another driver out here, and that is crucial points that Saffron City is giving up, unfortunately, here, as he is out of the race. But wait, actually, he completed 90% of the race, so he might still be classified here. We'll see how that all plays out once we do get the timing. But coming around the final few corners now, driving a textbook drive here around the final corner is your race winner in the Alpine. It is Murphy taking the victory here in Spain. Tiger NASCAR in second, and he will keep that second. And Nero Nix with a fantastic drive after all that said and done. He ends up on the podium. Fantastic drive there for Nero Nix. Monkey Mafia had that strategy down with the safety car pit stop, but unfortunately the race lasted one lap too long for him, or else he would have had that podium for himself, but it wasn't meant to be. Ends up just outside in P4. Hightower rounding out the top 5 here. Detail in 6th, El Capitano in 7th, Adaltonian in 8th, Young DJ CJ crosses the line in 9th. So still a top 10 for Young DJ CJ. Smith, 630. He's just got a few corners now coming through Sector 3. Houdini crosses the line, and he is probably extremely happy that the race is over there. Definitely running in no man's land. Got caught up in that safety car restart incident, or one of them took that wing damage and just was unable to recover. So a bit unfortunate here for Houdini, but it's still points as SZ Smith finally is the final driver to cross the line, and that will do it here for the first race of the season. And what a race it was. The Monkey Mafia voted driver of the day from the people here at Spa, and I do have to agree with that, but I do have to give an honorable mention, or I do have to say I'm sure Nero Nix was definitely in the running there, especially after getting that spin and just keeping his head down, doing what he has to do, and showing that he can recover after making a mistake. He is not going to dwell on that, but for the entirety of the podium there, congratulations. It was a fantastic drive from all of you there. Congratulations, you all deserved it. Enjoy the champagne, enjoy the drink, enjoy the celly, and yeah, that is party on, I should say. But that it will do it here for the race here. Murph and Selly in the Alpine taking the victory here from 4th on the grid. Tiger NASCAR starting from pole position, finishing in 2nd. Nero Nix from 2nd to 3rd. The Monkey Mafia from 17th up into 4th. My goodness, what a drive from the Monkey Mafia. Must have been swinging from the branches there when we weren't looking at him to jump that high up the field. Hightower rounding out the top 5. Detail, El Capitano, Adaltonian, Young DJ CJ, SZ Smith as rounding out the top 10 here. What a drive from everybody here. Houdini. There is the rest of the grid order for everybody to see before everything just disappears from me. But there you have it. That was a fantastic first race of the season. Now I'm looking forward to getting some input here on from the drivers and see what they have to say about that. So something I was doing in Division 3, and I'm gonna keep this up here for Division 2. I'm gonna send the invites here to our podium sitters here and get their thoughts, get see what they thought about after that race. So I'm gonna jump into the showroom, get those invites sent off. So I'll return in just a quick moment here, as I do get them sent off. So I will back. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I do have those invites sent off. In the meantime, let's get that race-winning Alpine on the screen here. As very quickly now. Allow me to switch over to the Red Bull as Tiger NASCAR jumped into the party. So Tiger NASCAR, can you hear us at all?
Yeah. Sorry about my mic, by the way.
Oh, no worries. No issues on my end, if I'm being honest here. But I'll jump into here as I've got that Red Bull here. So from first on the grid, second here at the end of the race, it was a good qualifying for you. I mean, still a good race, but maybe not the outcome you were expecting. Maybe hoping for that victory. But talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that for that fantastic Spanish Grand Prix?
Yeah, well, I wasn't really expecting to be second, to be honest, after being in D4 last season. So that was nice. I was a nice surprise to be on pole. My starts, I just need to work on them. I've lost too many positions on the start, so I have no excuse for that. And fair play to Murph. He had a good call in the safety car, and he got ahead of all of us pretty much. So yeah, congrats to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest though. From seeing you in Division 3, seeing you in the interdivisional races, I wouldn't. You've got a lot of pace. I wouldn't count yourself out, and you're proving that here today, even in qualifying, even with that P2. But I mean, it seemed like you almost had the strategy down packed, but then that safety car came out, and you did choose to stay out on the hard tires rather than pit. Was that something you were debating over the course of when that safety car came out, or were you committed to stick to the strategy regardless of what happened?
Yeah, I was debating, but I thought it was just best to get the track position, as it's pretty hard to overtake here. So I was behind, I think, Detail and Hightower, I think. So I didn't want to be stuck behind that traffic, because I thought I had a good car. But yeah, it's just a poorly timed safety car for me. I think I had a good shot if it went green. The one stop, I think, could have worked.
Yeah, I do think so too. But with a lot of pace, I'm excited to see how I'm excited to see your race, see your pace throughout the season. But still a fantastic finish for you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
No problem. Now we'll move over. I'll head over to our race winner, Murph and Selly next. So Murph and Selly, can you hear us at all?
Hey, what's up?
What's up? So from fourth on the grid there, to victory here, and from the podium, the only one of you to pull off a two-stop. Talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that race?
That was a crazy race. Shout out to the two guys that finished on the podium with me, Nero and Tiger. Tiger's got some serious pace. So does Nero. Nero proved it when he came from sixth or seventh back up to put on the podium.
P10.
P10. Oh, even better. Look at that. But no, my heart hurt when he spun out in front of me. I felt bad for him, but all I had to do was miss him and pretty much had the rest of the race just to coast.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that, about your pit stop under the safety car, because it seems like that was a I'll be honest, at least from my point of view, it looked like that might have been essentially the deciding factor, along with Nero's unfortunate incident that I'll be getting to in just a moment. But were you committed to pit either way once that safety car came out, or was that just a game time decision, seeing that both Nero and Tiger NASCAR stayed out?
That was a last-minute call for sure. I saw Niru stayed out, and I was in a party with a bunch of the other Alpine guys, and it was kind of a quick team decision to throw it in the pits and change tires. I changed to the used mediums because I used them quite a bit in qualifying, but they still managed to last me the rest of the race.
Perfect. I mean, it definitely worked out for you there, snagging the max amount of points here. So congratulations on the victory. And I'll be honest, I do hope to see you back here in the podium interviews a little bit more this season as it goes on.
I'm hoping to be here. Hopefully we have some good races.
Perfect. So last but not least, now get that Williams on the screen. Nero next. Nero, can you hear us at all?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Perfect. So from second on the grid, honestly getting the start to end all starts there, jumping up into first, had that race under control, having that unfortunate moment, falling down to 10th, and just essentially pulling the pants up, saying screw it, time to book it, and bringing it back up to a fantastic third. Great race from you, but talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that race?
Man, after I spun, I was like, oh my god, am I going to be able to make it even close to P3 at least? I was like, come on, I have to try or something. And I debated a million times, should I come in, should I stay out, should I come in, should I stay out? For that, when the safety car came out, I debated it quite a lot. Because I didn't feel like super comfortable in those, coming into the hards, because a friend of mine had a very big problem on the hards, and he just, like, died. It was in another league race as well, so I was like, I don't really want to go into the hards, so I stayed out. Unfortunately, I spun again, and I'm surprised that my mediums lasted me that long, and they gave me that amount of pace to actually catch up to P3, because I thought, I was like, oh, well, Monkey Mafia's in front of me, he's on softs, I'm probably never going to catch him. Lo and behold, I end up P3. I'm honestly impressed. I knew I had the pace, because I was fast enough to keep P1. But F1 is a cruel sport. There's nothing you could really do. It sucks. I wish I could have won. But that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still a fantastic drive, and honestly, you pulled off, dare I say, a Lewis Hamilton type recovery drive after that spin. But I'll be honest, Nero, you've already answered essentially all the other follow-up questions I had. I want to ask about your pit stop out of the safety car. You covered that. You debated, opted to stay out, and you essentially covered my final question of whether you thought you were going to be able to get back into the podium. It was close, but like I said, clinical drive from you there, and honestly, it's a third place, but if it was up to me, I'd honestly give you just a couple extra points just for that drive alone. So congratulations on that podium.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So there you have it. That is going to do it here for the race here today. It was a fantastic showing all throughout. Congratulations to the podium. Thank you to all the drivers who came out. Thank you to everybody who tuned into the stream to watch. I do hope you enjoyed the race as much as I did. And of course, if you're hoping for more racing action, you're gonna want to tune in same time, same place next week. As if I recall correctly, we are going to be taken to the streets of Monaco. So that is going to be a banger and a half. You are not going to want to miss that. But until then, on behalf of everybody here at Midwest Formula One, my name is Fallen Monkey, saying thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.